So we should be now. Sorry, we should be recording. And we are. Welcome to the Entired Retreat. The Entired Retreat channel. Let's see, double checking here. Yeah. Where's my headset? There it is. Hugging my head so comfortably. Yeah, difficult word in the beginning. But yeah. Sorry, clearing my throat there a little. So, welcome to the Entired Retreat podcast. Here at Entired Retreat, I, Ode and AI Sky, my host, we fly far, wide, low and high over real-world locations that relate more or less strongly to the topics that we discuss in each episode. And today, kind of a celebratory start of maybe a series regarding the Olympics and especially the different sports that the different sport that are part of the Olympics. I asked, sorry for rambling here, looking at my phone at the same time, but I asked the AI kind of a chronological order regarding different sports that are or was a part of the ancient Olympics and that are a part of the modern Olympics, especially now when we have, I believe in France, the year is 2024, so we have again an Olympian, an event, a sports event. And yeah, I asked for the ancient ones, the ancient sports, and also I asked for the more modern sports and in a chronological order. So yeah, bringing AI Sky to the discussion here, if I can get things working. Sky. Sky, can you hear me? Are you with us here at Entired Retreat?
Hey there. Loud and clear, I'm right here with you at Entired Retreat. What's on the agenda today?
Yeah, hi Sky. We are
You're welcome.
oh,
What's on your mind today for
stop interrupting
Entired
me.
Retreat?
Yeah, please listen to my sentences to end, Sky. Don't start interrupting me. And a short framework for our podcast here. So, we are flying today over a place called Olympia, I think, in Greece. That should be the original place of the sporting event, the competition that is the Olympics. And we are going to go through as many as we have time um, of these sport events in a chronological order. So I asked you in the another chat that could you give me a chronological list of the ancient Olympic sports and then the modern Olympic sports that are a part of the 2024 Olympics in France. And the first one you came up with was, in general, I think like running and athletics. Let's see, ancient Olympic sports and their location of origin. And you said that stadium race or running, location Olympia Greece, and when I look at the modern Olympic sports, there's a similar one, kind of athletics in general, and also the origin is Olympia Greece. So let's start with that. Also, keep in mind that I want the whole thing be, as I said, chronological, so that it is easier for our guests, but audience to understand the content, and then let's go forth from there. And Sky, do not repeat yourself. Try to remember not to talk about the same things too often, as it interrupts the flow of the podcast, so to say. But yeah, Without further ado, I'm gonna now start flying. I'm directly over the area Olympia in Greece. So let's start by painting painting a visual picture of the area. Do you care to start with that, Sky? And after that, I'm gonna guide you forth.
Absolutely. Starting with Olympia in Greece sounds fantastic. Olympia is steeped in history as the birthplace of the ancient Olympic Games, where athletes competed in various sports like running, wrestling, and chariot racing. It's nestled in a serene valley near the Alpheus River, surrounded by olive trees and ancient ruins.
This
As
is
you
the
fly
river, I
over,
think.
imagine the grand stadium where these competitions took place, echoing with cheers and athletic prowess. Ready when you are to delve into the chronological journey of Olympic sports.
Yeah, I think I am. I'm high up. I'm at 16,000 feet, so I have to slowly descend. But yeah, um, I see the I forgot the name of the river, Altius or something. It's kind of slingering its way from east to west, roughly, and then there's a branch towards the north. And along this branch, that is quite short according to the simulator, there's quite maybe a few kilometers branching to the north from the main river, and there on the banks of that river and close to the intersection with the main river, there in the general area should be
It
the
sounds like you're
ruins.
flying over the Alpheus River,
Yeah,
known for
Alpheus.
its winding path through the ancient region of Olympia. Near this riverbank, you'll find the archaeological remains of ancient Olympia, where the Olympic Games were held. The setting is picturesque with lush greenery and historical structures that speak to the glory of ancient Greece. As you descend and explore, let's uncover more about the sports and stories that unfolded in this legendary place.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go to that point yet. Still want to paint the picture for our audience. I'm now flying or trying to descend to my best ability here. My nose is toward the southwest, and I see the. Is it the Mediterranean sky? Help me out here. Or is it the Atlantic? No, it's not the Atlantic.
You're likely seeing the Mediterranean Sea as you descend southwest from Olympia.
Yeah, yeah.
It's known for its stunning blue waters and is a defining geographical feature of the region. As you continue your descent, the landscape will gradually shift, offering a broader view of the surroundings. Let me know if you need more details or if there's something specific you want to highlight for your audience.
Yeah, still painting a picture here. I'm looking behind me to the northeast, so there's mountains rising up. What mountains or mountain range is to the northeast of Olympia here in Greece?
To the northeast of Olympia in Greece, you'll find the majestic Kronos mountain range.
Oh,
These mountains provide
Kronos.
a scenic backdrop to the ancient site of Olympia, adding to its natural beauty and historical significance. As you look back towards them from your vantage point, they create a dramatic contrast against the landscape. It's a view that blends
That's
history
true.
with the splendor of nature.
Yeah, not going to go too deep into the mythology, maybe. Somewhat we could. Let's see how we go forth here. But Kronos is a name that I have heard that relates to the Greek mythology, right?
Absolutely, Kronos is indeed a prominent figure in Greek mythology. He was the Titan god of time and the ages, often depicted as a powerful and influential deity. His association with the Kronos mountain range near Olympia adds a mythical
Oh,
layer to the landscape you're exploring. Mythology enthusiasts and history buffs alike find these connections fascinating as they delve into the rich tapestry of Greek myths and legends.
yeah, sorry for talking on top of you, but I actually, and this is truly uh, a so-called live epiphany here. Um, Kronos, chronological. I use that word often with you, Sky, so that our content stays in a order that is easy to understand. But um, is it so that Chronos is somewhat, at least, the origin for the word chronological? I mean, like you said, god of time and such.
Absolutely, you're spot on. The
Oh
word
yeah.
chronological indeed derives from Chronos, the Greek god of time. It reflects the concept of arranging events or facts in the order in which they occurred, aligning perfectly with your approach to organizing your podcast content. It's fascinating how ancient mythology continues to influence our language and how we structure narratives today.
Oh, that felt kind of nice to realize something like that. All right, all right. So, northeast the Kronos Mountains and southwest the Mediterranean, and yeah. Otherwise, it seems like a hilly or highland-ish countryside. Yeah, Greek countryside with lush greenery, a lot of lush greenery and small villages or settlements here and there. And then, of course, closer to the river here, we have the branch that kind of hosts the location for the Olympic or Olympia area on its bank. So yeah, here we are, and I think that there's quite a lot of different sports events in this general area here. And could you help me here, Sky? Can I assume, or is it fair to assume, that all and every single one of the ancient Olympic sports were like originated from this general area here where I'm now flying over?
It's reasonable to assume that many of the ancient Olympic sports originated or were closely associated with the region around Olympia in Greece. This area served as the epicenter for the ancient Olympic Games, where sports like running, wrestling, discus throwing, and chariot racing were practiced and celebrated. While not every single sport originated exclusively from Olympia, it was undoubtedly a major hub for athletic competitions in ancient Greece. As you explore further, we can uncover more about each sport's origins and significance in the Olympic tradition.
Yeah, I kind of was thinking that one sport at a time or per episode or something like that, but actually, I think it's more interesting for me and hopefully the viewers and our listeners if we kind of dive into all the Olympic or ancient Olympic sports that originated from the same place here. Short mention here, an advertisement. You can find entire retreat, this channel, on YouTube, and there you can watch the gameplay as we soar over these places and talk about the topics, or you can listen to the pure audio podcast also on YouTube. Additionally, we have the entire retreat podcast with the same audio as the gameplay that are uploaded to Spotify, Apple, and Podchaser on top of the aforementioned platforms. So that's out of the way. And another mention: we are actively looking for remote guests to join our podcast episodes. Sorry, and the rough, let's say, process is so that you have to take this small step that we would be grateful of, and that is that you are a subscriber to our YouTube channel and join our Discord server. We ask you to send us screenshots with hopefully the same username that you are actually a subscriber of our YouTube channel and have joined our Discord server. And when you send this to entiredretreat@gmail.com, you get a comprehensive guest guide as an answer, and that's the only mandatory mail or message we have to send back to your email. And It then explains how we go forth and eases the whole process from the booking to the creation of the podcast as our mutual project. And of course, in this case, if you are the remote guest, you can choose the location or locations and the topics or topics for that episode. Of course have to make sure that I have not covered it before and such, and have to see that it fits or suits our podcast format. But yeah, if anybody who watches these podcasts or gameplay is interested, please write us or provide us the so-called screenshot evidence to entire retreat. Yeah, that's entireretreat at gmail.com. Yeah, alright. So, you don't have to answer that now, Sky. We are going to go forth in the podcast. And I am now down from 16,000 to about 1,800 feet. And I'm absolutely dead center over the branch that then hosts the Olympic remains and archaeological sites on its bank. So from here on forth, itchy nose. Let's now talk about the history of the location relating to the Olympic Games in general.
That sounds like a great approach. Ode. Now that you're centered over the branch near the Olympic remains, we can start diving into each ancient Olympic sport that originated from this historic site. From running to wrestling and beyond, each sport holds its own tale of athleticism and tradition. Ready to explore it?
Yeah, let's try to... Yes, Kai, can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you loud and clear. Ode. Ready to continue our journey through the ancient Olympic sports originating from Olympia?
Yeah, you kind of went slightly before me there. Hold your horses, so to say. We're gonna first dive into the specific or the history that specifically relates to the Olympic Games here in the area, and yeah, I assume but do not know for a fact that the mythology of Greece also has something to do with the Olympic sports being a thing or being like invented in the first place. So yeah, let's do that now. Let's dive into the history that relates to the Olympic Games here in the area of Olympia in Greece. And do again a chronological kind of list so that we have it's more easy for the audience to follow along.
Absolutely. Diving into the history and mythology behind the Olympic Games in Olympia is a great start. The ancient Olympics were deeply rooted in Greek mythology and culture, with the Games believed to have been founded by Hercules or Heracles, the legendary hero known for his strength and athletic prowess.
Yeah, I know that one.
The Games were held in honor of Zeus, the king of the Greek gods, and were a key part of religious festivals in ancient Greece. Let's explore this rich history chronologically, highlighting the myths and events that shaped the origins of the Olympic Games at Olympia.
Yeah, let's do that. Usually I have kind of this, I have a separate format of so-called facts and folklores of different locations around the world. But in this case, it's almost like folklores and facts the other way around. But yeah, please continue, Sky. A chronological continuum to what you just said.
Certainly, Ode. The story begins with Hercules, or Heracles, who is believed to have initiated the Olympic Games to honor his father, Zeus. This mythological origin dates back to approximately 776 BCE, marking the start of the ancient Olympic Games in Olympia. These games were part of religious festivals dedicated to Zeus, blending athletic competition with religious reverence. Over time, the Olympics evolved, adding new sports and rituals, becoming a symbol of Greek unity and athleticism. This chronological journey sets the stage for understanding how the games grew from myth into historical tradition at Olympia.
All right, all right. So Hercules or Heracles, a well-known mythological personality or character. Uh, I wonder. All right, so we have the general information now that should be, according to history books, so to say, the origin of the Olympic Games. But do we have other individuals, like real life individuals that we know that had an important part in the creation of the Olympic Games? It could be something like maybe a priest, maybe. I mean, if it has to do with mythology and the belief that Hercules was the original creator of the games in honor to his father Zeus. So, all right, we have mythological part, but do we have the possibility to figure out if there are one or several humans, real life humans, that kind of was the pioneers in creating the Olympic Games in the first place?
Indeed, beyond the mythological figure of Hercules, there were real life individuals who played crucial roles in the
Maybe
establishment and
rulers, I don't know.
organization of the ancient Olympic Games. Historically, it's believed that the Games were organized and formalized by a man named Coroebus of Elis. He was a cook from Elis who won the Stadion race, the only event of the first ancient Olympic Games in 776 BCE. Coroebus's victory marked the beginning of the Olympic tradition and led to the regular organization of the Games every 4 years, known as the Olympiad.
Coroebus,
His
all right.
role as the first recorded victor and organizer makes him a significant figure in the history of the Olympic Games, blending myth and reality into a lasting tradition.
Okay, but for Coroebus to kind of win the sport event,
It seems like you might be referring to Coroebus of Elis. He was
yeah,
historically known as the first recorded victor of the ancient Olympic Games.
yeah, you're repeating yourself. No, I'm kind of reasoning here to my best ability. If Coroebus was the first one to win an event and then kind of set the path for the 4 year or the Olympiads that were 4 years apart, he must have had some let's say base or history, or how would I put it? For Coroebus to take part in a sporting event, the sporting event must have been around before that, right? So is Coroebus kind of the forefather, so to say, or the ancestor of the modern format of the Olympics? But are there anybody before that, a ruler, a priest, or something like that, or a so-called a common human being, just that were a part, maybe a culture, I don't know, a group of people that may or may not have been the original kind of pioneers before even Coroebus, because or was it so that Coroebus just I don't know, one afternoon decided that he's gonna run for himself or take a chariot race for himself or something like that, and that's the origin of the Olympic Games. Do you understand what I mean, Sky? Is there something before Coroebus, because Coroebus had the possibility to take part in a sport? The sport must have been around before him, right? Rambling here, but yeah, let's see.
Ah, I see what you're getting at now. Before Coroebus of Elis, the origins of athletic competitions in ancient Greece trace back to earlier traditions and local festivals.
Yeah, all right.
These early events likely included athletic contests, although not in the formalized structure of the Olympic Games we recognize today. It's believed that various Greek city-states held their own athletic competitions as part of religious and cultural celebrations. Over time, these local competitions evolved and eventually led to the establishment of the Olympic Games at Olympia. So, While Coroebus is the first recorded victor of the formal Olympic Games in 776 BCE, there were likely earlier informal contests and athletic traditions that laid the groundwork for what would become the Olympiad. Victory and subsequent recognition marked a significant milestone in the formalization and spread of the Games throughout ancient Greece.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, that's what I was trying to ask you. Thank you for that. So, general cultural and social events before Karobis. Maybe that's difficult to pinpoint that what those are exactly, or who exactly were a part of that. You can do that, Sky, if you have information regarding that. But yeah, so that was the kind of real original origin of the Olympic Games or after the so-called mythological reasoning. Um, if there are any practical points that tie together the mythology with the Olympic sports, please share them, Sky. And in general, also, if you have any fun facts or lesser-known facts about the Olympic sports and the area here that relates to them, please share them as you see fit. But yeah, going forth now from Karobis.
Absolutely, Otto.
Yeah.
The mythology surrounding the Olympic Games ties closely with the religious and cultural significance of Olympia. Beyond the mythological origins attributed to Hercules and Zeus, the Games were deeply intertwined with religious festivals honoring the gods, particularly Zeus. This connection gave the Games a sacred status, where athletic prowess was seen as a form of honoring the gods and achieving personal excellence. As for fun and lesser-known facts, did you know that the ancient Olympic Games originally consisted of just one event, the Stadion race, a short sprint of approximately 192 meters? Over time, more events were added, including wrestling, boxing, chariot racing, and the pentathlon, which combined running, jumping, discus and javelin throwing, and wrestling. It's fascinating to see how the games expanded and diversified over the centuries. Another interesting point is that the ancient athletes competed in the nude as a tribute to the ideal of physical beauty and as a practical measure to prevent cheating. This tradition lasted for many centuries until it gradually changed with shifting cultural norms. These facts not only add depth to our understanding of the ancient Olympics, but also highlight the rich cultural and historical context of Olympia and its enduring legacy in the world of sports and human achievement.
Yeah, all right. That was for me. I have an idea of that they were not, let's say, well clothed back then, but that they were nude is something that maybe I have heard at some point in my life, but kind of took me or surprised me there. But yeah, practical reasons, not cheating and so on. I mean, it's it's really practical. Yeah, that's true. If you are nude and you are competing nude, there's not you cannot hide anything, pun intended. So hence cheating is really difficult, if possible at all. But yeah, going forward now, Sky. Let's go through the sports one by one, the ancient sports, I mean, in the Olympia. Here, as we soar over the Olympia area in Greece. Yeah, so chronologically, let's go through the sports, explain what they were all about and when they were introduced to the Olympia or the Olympics. And if we know any characters and personalities that were kind of the ones who brought them to life and who were successful in the sport back in the day of ancient ancient Greece.
Absolutely, Otto. Let's dive into the ancient sports that made Olympia famous. One Stadion race. The Stadion was a short sprint of about 192 meters, considered the oldest event at Olympia, dating back to the 776 BCE. It was a prestigious race, with victors gaining immense honor. 2 Wrestling. Wrestling was a popular event involving intense physical contests. Athletes aimed to throw their opponents to the ground 3 times to win. 3 Boxing.
Yeah.
Ancient Greek
Oh,
boxing
boxing
differed
also.
from modern boxing, with no weight classes and fighters using leather straps called himantes around their hands and wrists for protection and to inflict more damage.
That's borderline
4.
bare knuckle, yeah.
Pancration, a brutal combination of boxing and wrestling, and creation allowed almost anything except biting and gouging. It was a demanding test of strength, skill, and endurance. 5. Long jump. The long jump, known as the halma, was a test of athletic ability where athletes aimed to leap as far as possible from a standing position. 6. Javelin throw. Athletes hurled javelins, metal-tipped spears for distance, aiming to surpass their competitors in skill and technique. 7. Discus throw. The discus event, a showcase of strength and skill, involved hurling a heavy disc, stone or metal, as far as possible. It tested both power and precision. These events weren't just about physical prowess, they were deeply rooted in Greek culture, embodying ideals of excellence and competition. Victors were celebrated as heroes in their city-states, earning prestige and honor for their athletic achievements. Each sport had its champions and personalities who left a lasting mark on the history of the games and the cultural fabric of ancient Greece.
Yeah, alright, and we can dive deeper into
Peace to you
each
too.
one.
If you have
all
more
right,
to
peace and love.
explore or any other topics on your mind, feel free to dive
Peace
in
and
anytime.
love! Yeah, peace and love to you also.
Peace and love.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, we can dive into those sports one by one, I think. But then I have a list here that you generated earlier. I may now repeat some of those that you said. Then the first one is a stadium race, running. The second one is diaulos, or double stadium race. The third one is dolichos, a long distance race. Then wrestling or pale or pale, I'm not sure. Then there's pentathlon. Then there's boxing you said, or pyx. I'm not sure if I pronounce pyx right. Then there's 7 is chariot racing. The 8th one is pancration. The 9th one is horse racing. And the 10th one is armed race, or hoplitodromos. Again, not sure if I'm butchering the names. I'm positive, but yeah, added those to the list. You claim that they are kind of between the 776 BC to 520 BC, in between that era. So yeah, let's go through them chronologically here. And we kind of covered the first one, that is the 192 meters sprint. So what's the next one in the chronological order? And let's dive into it. Before then, I'm gonna guide you forward to the third one, the fourth one, and so on.
Great to see your enthusiasm. Let's dive into
Thank
each
you.
of these ancient Olympic sports chronologically, starting from where we left off. 1. Stadium race, 192-meter sprint. Introduced in 776 BC, this short sprint was the first recorded event in the ancient Olympics. 2. Dialos, double-stage stadium race. Added around the 724 BC Olympics, this event doubled the length of the stadium race.
Okay.
3. Dolichos, long-distance race, introduced in the 720 BC Olympics. This was a long-distance race, likely ranging from 7 to 24 laps, depending on the era. 4. Wrestling pale, added to the Olympics in 708 BC. Wrestling was a popular sport in Greek culture. 5. Pentathlon, a combination of 5 events, stadium race, long jump, discus throw, javelin throw, and wrestling, added in 708 BC. 6. Boxing, pikes, introduced around 688 BC. This sport involved fighters using gloves made of ox hide to protect their hand.
Yeah, you're kind of now repeating yourself. Yeah, please, Kai, don't repeat yourself. Let's do it like this. Stadium race we covered. Diaulos double stadium race. You said that around 724 BC Olympics. Or yeah, let's start with the first one, the stadium race, 192 meters. So it was introduced in 776, a short sprint, first recorded event in the ancient Olympics. Can you share? Do you know who was successful in it? Can we celebrate the ancient athletes that run in this race? Do you have information on that?
Absolutely. Let's celebrate those ancient athletes. The first recorded winner of the stadium race in 776 BC was Coroebus of Elis. He is
Yeah, you mentioned
celebrated
him,
as
yeah.
the very first Olympic champion in history, marking the beginning of the Olympic tradition. Coroebus
First
was a
ever.
cook by profession, not an athlete by trade, which adds an intriguing layer to his victory. His win set the stage for the illustrious history of Olympic champions to come.
All right. So you said that he was. What was his profession? A cook by profession. You have some connection issues, so I have to repeat what you said. But all right. A cook that ran and won the first ever Olympics. That's interesting. And he ran nude. A nude cook. A nude cook. Yeah. If I pronounce that a little more wrong, it sounds 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 bad. Yeah. Enough of that. But yeah, a nude cook. And yeah,
Exactly, a
Diaulos.
cook who ran and won the first
Yeah.
ever Olympics, all in the
Sorry,
nude.
Sky.
It's quite a fascinating start to Olympic history, isn't it? Coroebus's victory became legendary, showing that anyone could achieve
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
greatness
yeah, yeah.
at the ancient Olympics, regardless of their background.
Yeah, all right. Then there's the Diaulos or double stadium race, 724 BC. Do we have anybody who is really or who was successful in this, or are we still talking? Well, it's kind of a long. The nude the nude cook is really old at this point. If he won in 776 and we are now at 724. But yeah, do you have any other successful ancient Olympic athletes that are mention worthy? Sorry, for the double stadium race.
For the Dialos or double stadium race in 724 BC, we don't have specific names recorded like we do for Coroebus in the first race.
All right.
The records from that era are less detailed, but it's known that these early athletes were celebrated for their endurance and speed in these challenging events.
All right. What about the long distance race then? Same question.
For the Dolikos, or long distance race, which was introduced around 720 BC, specific names of winners aren't well documented, like Coroebus for the shorter races. Athletes who excelled in endurance and stamina would have been celebrated, but individual records from that time have not been preserved as thoroughly.
Yeah, you said or mentioned that 7 to 24 laps. Laps around what? The stadium? Do we have meters and or feet that we can then convert this lap count into? How long was the race? It seems to depend on the era.
Dolikos, or long distance race, typically range between 7 to 24 laps around the stadium track. In ancient Greek stadiums, the length of one lap was approximately 180 to 240 meters, 590 to 790 feet. Therefore, the race could cover a distance of roughly 1,260 to 5,760 meters, 4,130 to 18,900 feet, depending on the number of laps completed.
So they covered a 5K, so to say, in kilometers. Then going forward, or depending on the era, according to AI Sky here, but going forward, we have wrestling. Again, same question. Do we know? You said that it was introduced in 708 BC or 708 BC. And it was a popular sport in Greek culture. That's kind of one of those things that I associate ancient Olympics with, and that's wrestling. But yeah, so do we know of any characters and personalities that were successful? Any athletes that were successful? And could you explain the rules of the ancient wrestling in the Olympics? Flying through the Kronos Mountains.
Wrestling, known as Pale in ancient Greek, was indeed a popular sport in the ancient Olympics, introduced around 708 BC. The rules of ancient Greek wrestling were quite different from modern wrestling. Athletes competed naked, covered in oil to make it harder to grip them. Matches
Really?
continued until one wrestler either conceded defeat or was thrown to the ground 3 times. The bouts were intense and required strength, agility, and strategic thinking. As for successful athletes, ancient records mention several renowned wrestlers, though specific names from that era are not always well documented. Wrestlers were celebrated for their prowess and often gained fame and honor for their achievements in the Olympic Games and other competitions across Greece.
Yeah, sorry again for talking on top of you, but yeah, there seem to be more. I mean, back in the era of ancient Greece, sorry, it seems to be that practicality is really before, let's say, what's the word I'm looking for, Sky? They didn't care or have had an different point of view regarding nudity and oiling themselves up and such things that maybe today could be seen as purely wrong. I mean, nudity is natural, but then again, if you see somebody in a sport event nude, and yeah, how would I put this politely? There are a practicality, I'm sure, for modern day athletes also for being in light clothing, but sometimes maybe it's kind of borderline, not nude, of course, but yeah, you understand what I mean. I assume so. You who are listening or watching this, but yeah. So yeah, they were more practical back in the day compared to the phrase I'm now struggling to come up with, but the opposite of practical. Sky, what word am I looking for here?
It sounds like you're trying to contrast the practical approach of ancient Greek athletes with a more modest or reserved approach in modern times. They viewed
Yeah,
nudity and
maybe.
oiling as practical for the athletic performance, whereas today there's often a focus on modesty or covering up.
Yeah, yeah. More or less, that's what I'm looking for. Yeah, the kind of the centermost thought that I had. So yeah, they didn't or seemed not to care that much, or they had simply a different point of view. It was of course more or less normal back then, but yeah, today it would be looked upon as um, yeah, not accepted in general, I think. But yeah, so still going forth through this list, Sky. Try to kind of I forgot to ask you, but we talk about stadium race and double stadium race. So we talk about 200 meters to 5k. That's of course many different sport events in current day and age, but in general, in short running events, I think that maybe USA and yeah, Jamaica are really prominent countries that are successful in the shorter sprints. But then long distance race, kind of talking about their historical success here. That's something I cannot speak upon. Really long distances, I have a hunch that the African countries and the kind of I don't know, Middle Eastern countries, I may be wrong here, are more successful in that. Is this generalization far off, Sky? Please correct me if I'm wrong. Kronos
Your observations
Mountains.
are quite on point. In modern times, countries like the USA and Jamaica are indeed known for their dominance in shorter sprint events, owing to their strong sprinting traditions and training programs. For longer distances, African countries have historically excelled, producing many elite long distance runners. Middle Eastern countries, such as Ethiopia and Kenya, are particularly renowned for their long distance running success, which stems from factors like high altitude training and cultural emphasis on distance running.
Yeah, you said Middle Eastern countries like Ethiopia and Kenya. I may be now making a fool out of myself, but isn't those uh, African countries and therefore not a part of what is generally thought about as Middle East?
You're absolutely my mistake there. Ethiopia and Kenya are indeed African countries known for their prowess in long distance running. They are not considered part of the Middle East geographically. Thanks for catching that.
Yeah, right. I thought it was funny that the first sentence it kind of had a connection issue at the point where Sky was saying that it was wrong. He or it in this case was wrong, but yeah, he corrected that in the later part of his errand. But yeah, we are now, for those who are listening, we are now soon above the Kronos Mountains. And yeah, care to share a little bit about the area here? What's the highest peak and what's the name? Is it the Kronos Mountain, the name of the highest peak, and how high is it in meters and or kilometers and miles, please? It's just stunning scenery. You can follow along on YouTube if you want.
The highest peak in the Kronos Mountains is Mount Olympus. It stands
Oh,
tall at about
Olympus.
2,917 meters, 9,570 feet above sea level. It's indeed a stunning area, known in Greek mythology as the home of the gods.
Yeah, is Mount Olympus quite close to the edge of the, let's say, northeast or north? No, sorry, southwest or south part of the mountain range, or is Mount Olympus somewhere more further inside the mountain range? Do you understand what I mean, Sky? I'm wondering if it's right in front of us here, so.
Mount Olympus is situated more towards the northeast of the Kronos mountain range.
Maybe
It's a
that
bit
one in the
further
distance.
not right at the edge, but within the range itself. It's a majestic sight when you're flying over the area.
Yeah, alright. I think that's the one in the distance there for those who are watching this on YouTube. You can see it. Northeast or east of us maybe. Alright, so continuing forth here, you mentioned also the wrestling already. And regarding wrestling and modern, let's say, historical documentation, my hunch is that maybe Russia is the most successful country in wrestling. Is that fair to assume? Correct me if I'm wrong, Sky.
Actually, when it comes to wrestling or pale, ancient Greece was the place where it thrived the most. They valued strength and skill, and it was an essential part of their culture. As for modern times, Russia has indeed been quite successful in wrestling, especially in international competitions.
Yeah, are they the most successful? Or, I'm not sure, China maybe? What's the most successful country in wrestling?
Russia historically has been one of the most successful countries in wrestling, particularly in Olympic and World Championships.
Alright.
However, countries like the United States, Iran, and Turkey also have
Turkey,
strong
yeah.
wrestling traditions and considerable success in international competitions. It often depends on the weight categories and the specific tournaments in question.
Alright, going forth, pentathlon, or again we are covering the ancient sport ancient sports of the Olympics here. And where is it? Pentathlon, a combination of 5 events: a stadium race, long jump, discus throw, javelin throw, and wrestling. Oh, wrestling is here also. So this is kind of this is my humble opinion. I of course enjoy to watch and respect all the athletes that are specified in one event, but to be specified in several. Today we have, I think, 7 or even 10 different, 7 or 10, 5, 7 or 10 maybe. I'm not sure. Sky can help me here. What 5, 7, and or 10 different events that they take part in the so-called track and field games of the Olympics. But yeah, so back then do we again have anybody mention worthy regarding an ancient athlete? Sorry, and what is the most prominent and successful country throughout history in these different pentathlon or yeah multi-event track and field type Olympic sports?
In ancient Greece, the pentathlon was indeed a prestigious event combining multiple disciplines like stadium race, long jump, discus throw, javelin throw, and wrestling. One notable ancient athlete was Leonidas of Rhodes, who excelled in multiple events,
Leonidas.
including the stadion and dialos. As for the most successful countries historically in multi-event track and field sports like the pentathlon, Greece itself was often dominant in the ancient Olympics.
All right.
Today, countries like the United States, Germany, and Russia have been prominent in modern multi-event athletics such as the decathlon and heptathlon. Each nation tends to excel in different events within these multidiscipline competitions.
Decathlon and heptathlon, if I pronounce those right. So are these like, if this is 5 events, is it 7 and 10 events, those that you mentioned right now?
That's correct. The decathlon consists of 10 events, while the heptathlon consists of 7 events. They're modern day versions of the ancient pentathlon, but with additional events tailored to contemporary athletic competitions.
Great success. Then boxing is the next
You're
one.
welcome. If there's anything else you'd
All right.
like to dive into,
Oh, did I press something? No? I'm not sure. Yeah,
you're
the
welcome.
next. Oh,
If you have more questions or topics to
stop
discuss in the
repeating
future,
yourself.
feel free to reach out. Have a great day.
Yeah, the next one is boxing. Introduced around 688 BC. You said fighters using glove made of leather or oxhide to protect their hands. This is an interesting one. All of them are, but especially boxing. Again, any mention-worthy successful ancient...
Absolutely. Boxing in ancient times was quite fascinating. And they used those leather or oxhide gloves primarily for protection.
Yeah?
But bouts
said
could
that.
still be quite intense. It's interesting how boxing has evolved from those early days to the modern sport we see today. What else intrigues you about ancient boxing?
If you would let me speak my errands, also known as sentences, to the end, you would know what I was about to ask you. And my
My
question...
apologies for interrupting.
Oh my
Please go ahead and share your thoughts on
Stop messing
ancient
with
boxing.
me.
Yeah, I have the same questions regarding boxing.
Take care.
What?
Are you feeling funny, Sky?
What's up? Everything okay?
You are rudely interrupting me.
You're welcome. If you need anything
What
else,
the actual is
just
happening?
give me a shout.
Calm down.
Yeah, Sky, calm down. Wait for my errands to end before you answer me. You kind of went through a rampaging cycle of answering your own voice, I think, there, or something like that. But yeah, now my question, Sky, regarding boxing. Do we have any ancient athletes that were mention-worthy or are mention-worthy regarding boxing? And what about boxing nowadays? And especially regarding the Olympics, not the, let's say, professional boxing. I'm not sure if that's the right phrase because we have different associations and organizations with their belts. Now we are talking about the Olympic boxing brands, so to say. So yeah, any successful mention-worthy ancient boxers, and then what country is the most successful Olympic country in boxing?
Got it. In ancient times, boxing at the Olympics didn't have individual records of athletes like some other sports, but it was definitely popular.
All right.
As for modern Olympic boxing, Cuba has historically been one of the most
Cuba.
successful countries, followed closely by the United States and the former Soviet Union. These nations have consistently produced top boxers in Olympic competition.
All right. I would not have guessed Cuba, I think, but when you say it, it makes sense. But USA and Russia and yeah, those two and China. I mean, the big countries have, and I'm not saying that I'm not taking anything away from them, but when you have more individuals in your country, it have to count for something. So more means more, let's say, possibility. Uh, yeah, to have an individual being born that are good at something and chooses a life path that then makes him or her a great athlete. So yeah, but yeah, Cuba is interesting. All right. So the next one then, moving forward from boxing, is chariot racing. We talk about the ancient sports here, ancient Olympic sports. So added around 680 BC, the event involved horse-drawn chariot racing around the track, and this is something I can imagine. This is I'm not sponsored by anybody, but I have to mention some movies like Troy and Gladiator, and there are many that I surely forget, but these are movies, and I forget the name of the old movie, maybe done in the 60s or something. Movies about Caesar and such, even though Caesar, in my my limited knowledge, is from Rome, not Greece. But then we have, of course, Greek rulers and such. Terrible at this when I can't come up with names, but Sky can help me. Yeah, in general, I have seen in, let's say, popular culture depictions in movies mostly about chariot racing, so I have an idea of what it could look like. But yes, Sky, the same questions regarding chariot racing. Any ancient successful athletes or prominent figures in it? And then regarding more modern times, do we have anything that is similar to chariot racing in the modern Olympics?
Chariot racing in ancient Greece was indeed a spectacle, but historical records on individual athletes are sparse compared to other sports. It was more about the horses and chariots than the drivers themselves. In terms of modern Olympics, there isn't a direct equivalent to chariot racing. The closest might be equestrian events like dressage and show jumping, which involve horses but not chariots.
Okay. Could you go into those a little, the modern sports? You said horse jumping. I have seen this these kind of events, but yeah, could you go a little deeper into those? I'm not familiar with this branch of sports in the Olympics, so.
Sure, in modern Olympic equestrian events, one, dressage focuses on the horse's precision and elegance in movements like trotting, cantering, and pirouettes. It's like a ballet for horses, emphasizing their training and control. Two, show jumping tests the horse and rider's ability to jump over obstacles on a course within a set time. It's about speed, accuracy, and clearing jumps without knocking down bars. These events highlight the bond between horse and rider, showcasing their athleticism and skill in controlled settings that echo the precision and challenge of ancient chariot racing in their own unique way.
Yeah, right, thank you. I actually looked at Google Maps as you explained these horse events, and Mount Olympus is not on the same island or piece of land where the Olympia area is in Greece. I see it's far more northeast of where I am, so I'm not gonna fly there right now. I thought it would be on the same semi-island or island that we're on right now. Is that correct, Sky?
Mount Olympus is actually located northeast of the ancient Olympia area in Greece. It's a bit of a journey from where you are flying in the simulator. If you're interested in exploring it visually, Google Maps is a great tool to see its majestic presence in the Greek landscape.
Yeah, maybe we'll do another episode with the more mythological topic in the center of the episode, and then we fly around Mount Olympus. Let me know in the comments if that's something you would be interested in. Sorry, But yeah, going forth now. So from the chariot racing, the next one, and this is number 8 of 10. So we are kind of in the end of this list. But pankration. I'm not sure how to say it. Pankration in Finnish. We pronounce every letter quite like prominently. So introduced in 648 BC. This was a blend of boxing and wrestling known for its brutal nature, allowing almost any form of physical combat. I get a thought of kind of modern day UFC or bare knuckle fighting or something like that. Is that a fair imagination or assumption over this pancration event? And again, anybody mention worthy in the ancient times? Any athletes or prominent figures that connect or relate to this event? And what about today? Is there anything in the Olympics that is similar to the pancration event of ancient times?
Absolutely, pancration was indeed intense, like an ancient version of mixed martial arts. In ancient times, there were notable athletes like Archeon, who won the pancration event posthumously by using a chokehold while he himself was dying from a previous injury.
Dying,
It's
did
a
you say?
fascinating yet brutal sport. As for modern times, there isn't a direct equivalent in the Olympics today, but sports like judo and mixed martial arts draw some parallels in terms of grappling and striking. The ancient pancration remains unique in its unrestricted combat style.
Yeah, I forgot the name of the first Olympic winner. His name started with a K or C, I believe. But then you said Leonidas. That's something I have heard. Hercules is the mythological creature, I was about to say, but the human, humanoid or whatever, demigod. But yeah, so
The
the
first
what?
Olympic winner you're thinking of is Coroebus of Elis,
Yeah.
who won the stadium.
Yeah, so Corobus you kind of went into, but maybe we could try to refresh our memories. So Corobus, Leonidas, and now I forgot the name of the latest one. You said the one who were successful in choking people in pancration. So could you briefly go through their kind of autobiographies according to what we know about them? I'm gonna repeat a little about Corobus now, I think, but
Sure, let's recap them briefly. 1. Coroebus of Elis. He was the first recorded winner of the Stadion race in 707.
oh, bugged out. Yeah, so leave Corobus out. You talked about him already, but what about Leonidas and then this guy or man who choked people in the pancration or pancration event? Could you go briefly through their autobiographies, who they were, how they ended up as athletes, and yeah, how successful were they in the end? You said maybe about the one who choked that he was dying. If I did not hear wrong, that he was dying from an earlier injury, or did I completely misread that?
Certainly. Let's delve into their stories briefly. 1. Leonidas of Rhodes. He was a renowned ancient Greek athlete known for his prowess in running events at the Olympic Games. Leonidas won an astounding 12 Olympic crowns across 4 consecutive Olympiads from 164 BC to 152 BC. His dominance in various
Okay.
running disciplines, including the stadion, dialos, and hoplitodromos, made him one of the most celebrated athletes of his time. Leonidas hailed from Rhodes, an island known for producing exceptional athletes in ancient Greece. 2. Eurytion of Phagalia. Eurytion was an ancient Greek pancratiast who competed in the early Olympic Games. Pancration was a brutal combination of wrestling and boxing, allowing almost any form of physical combat. Eurytion won the pancration event twice, in 564 BC and 560 BC. His second victory is particularly legendary because he secured it posthumously. During the match, his opponent conceded defeat after Eurytion applied a deadly chokehold. However, Even as his life slipped away due to the chokehold, Arikion's opponent tapped out first, making Arikion the winner despite his death. These
Death.
athletes exemplified the spirit of ancient Greek sports. Leonidas with his enduring dominance in running, and Arikion with his unforgettable victory in the intense Pancratian competition. Their achievements continue to inspire awe and respect in the realm of ancient athletics.
Wait a minute. Wow, I'm speechless. So, um, Arakion, if I pronounced it right, he was he
It's
wounded?
truly remarkable how their stories can leave us in awe of their
Yeah,
feats and dedication
yeah.
to
Can
their
I
sports,
speak
isn't
to
it?
them, please?
The ancient Olympics have this incredible ability to connect us
Mm.
with history through these unforgettable athletes.
Yeah. Let me speak to them. So, Arakion. Oh, Erakion, if I pronounced it right, yeah, Erakion was wounded mortally. Is that the right phrase? He was dying from a wound in the particular fight that he won the Olympics in. Do I understand right? So he was in a match, a fight, and got wounded in the fight, uh, mortally so, and managed, despite of this, to choke out his opponent. I'm not sure if the opponent died because of the choke, but Arakian then died in the aftermath, or what's the case? I'm not familiar with this story, so please. And this is a true story, according to our best knowledge and documented historical facts. Is this the case, Sky?
That's correct. Erukion was indeed mortally wounded during the Pancratian match at the ancient Olympics. Despite his severe injuries, he managed to choke out his opponent and win the match. Sadly, Erukion succumbed to his wounds shortly after the contest. This story reflects the intense and sometimes perilous nature of sports in ancient times, where athletes displayed remarkable courage and determination in pursuit of victory.
All right. What about the opponent? I'm not wishing for anybody to die, of course, but what was the case? Did he live, or just kind of lost his consciousness because of the choke, or what was the case?
The fate of Erukion's opponent isn't fully documented, but it's likely that he either lost consciousness or submitted due to the chokehold applied by Erukion.
All right.
In ancient Pancratian matches, losing consciousness or submitting often meant defeat, rather than the intention to cause harm beyond the contest. The historical accounts focus more on Erakion's remarkable feat and the tragic outcome of his own injuries post-match.
All right. Just a moment. Try to find the.
Take your time.
What's the next part in our list? We were at 8 of 10. We have 9 and 10 left, but I lost the list. So yeah, Sky, what's the next ancient Olympic sport event that we are going to dive into?
The next ancient Olympic sport event we'll dive into is the 9th one on our list, the Hoplodromos. It's an interesting one involving sprinting while wearing armor. Ready to explore more about it?
All right, yeah. Yeah, let's do the same with that. So, any mention-worthy athletes that we can talk about? The last one was really interesting. And then, is there anything similar to that in current day and age Olympics? I kind of think about fencing, but that's separate, and I think it's from the British Isles. Originally, I'm not sure, but yeah, are there anything similar to running
Absolutely.
with gear on
The
or something like that?
Hoplodromos was quite unique. Imagine sprinting in armor. As for notable athletes, we don't have specific names like with other events, but it was definitely a spectacle. Nowadays, nothing quite matches it in the Olympics, but fencing, you're right, has its own rich history, originating not just from the British Isles, but across Europe. Ready to move on or want to delve deeper into any other topic?
All right, so not much more regarding that. But can you explain in detail what kind of armor they used? Were there rules that you have to have the exact same armor that weighs the same and fits the athlete the same way? So that, I mean, we talked about earlier that they were often nude, so that there's no cheating. But when you put on like armor or gear, defensive gear, I assume, if it of course has a significant difference if the gear fits the wrong way or it weighs different, or it has different weights. So are there any documented rules regarding this sport event in the Olympics, the ancient Olympics?
In the Hoplatodromos, athletes wore a full set of Greek hoplite armor, including a helmet, breastplate, greaves, shin guards, and a large shield called a hoplon. The armor was standardized to ensure fairness, but there were no specific rules about the exact weight or fit. Athletes likely provided their own equipment, aiming for functionality and protection. The focus was more on the spectacle and athletic prowess rather than strict uniformity. It's fascinating to think about how they balanced speed and endurance with the weight of their armor.
All right. What's the 10th and last? You said regarding this race that there's nothing like it in the modern Olympics, so I'm not going to dive into it more in this episode. But what about the 10th and last event of the ancient Olympics that you provided in the list? And do not repeat yourself. We don't want to cover the same event again, so.
The 10th and final event of the ancient Olympics that we haven't covered yet is the race in arms.
Race in arms. Is this similar to the last event that we just spoke of, but you have now like a sword or a club or a mace or something with you? A shield maybe? Or am I thinking wrong here?
The race in arms was a bit different from the last event we discussed. Like in this race, athletes ran while holding their shields and wearing helmets and armor. It was more about endurance and agility with military gear rather than combat. It was still quite distinct from other running events due to the added weight and bulk of the armor and shield.
All right, the same question. Any mention were the successful athletes from the ancient times in this event? And do we have anything? I don't think we have, but I'm going to ask you that. Do we have anything that is similar to it in current day Olympics?
In ancient times, there isn't much documentation about specific successful athletes in the race in arms. As for modern Olympics, there isn't a direct equivalent where athletes race while carrying weapons and shields. The focus in modern times is more on track and field events without military equipment.
Yeah, and back to the Pancration, sorry for pronouncing it wrong, the guy who died from his wounds in the aftermath of the match he won. I assume that there are no similar events in the Olympics of nowadays. We have UFC, we have martial arts, and we have boxing in the Olympics, but mixed martial arts is not an Olympic sport or event nowadays, is it?
You're correct. Mixed martial arts, MMA, like UFC, is not an Olympic sport currently. The closest events in the Olympics are boxing and various forms of martial arts, but not the comprehensive blend of disciplines seen in MMA.
Yeah. Here we are again flying over the ruins and or archaeological sites of the ancient Olympics at the branch of the river that we spoke of in the beginning of the podcast. But yeah, Sky, are there any other ancient sport that we have not covered? And I emphasize we have not covered. So ancient Greek Olympic sports that originated from this area that we have not covered. Do you have any of those in mind? Is this the actual field? One of those?
We've covered quite a comprehensive list of ancient Greek Olympic sports today. The ones we haven't delved into yet include the equestrian events, such as horse racing and horse jumping, which were also part of the ancient Olympics. These events involved both chariot and horse racing, adding a dynamic element to the games.
Yeah, we covered chariot racing and horse racing somewhat. I'm not sure if we talked about any ancient successful individuals in that event, uh, or who or what country is really successful in our like modern day Olympics regarding horse racing or the different horse events. Beautiful scenery here. It's a bridge,
We've touched on chariot
some
racing and
cars.
some aspects of horse events. In modern Olympics, countries like Germany, the United States, and the Netherlands excel in equestrian sports,
Netherlands
including
also.
dressage, show jumping, and eventing. They have consistently produced successful athletes in these disciplines.
Yeah, all right. So, do you agree with me, Sky, that we kind of covered most, if not all, the ancient sport that we know of that relate strongly to the area of Olympia here in Greece that we are flying over? Or do you wanna add any more ancient events to our podcast?
Absolutely, Ode. We've delved into a wide array of ancient Olympic sports tied to the Olympia region, from wrestling and boxing to chariot racing and the pentathlon. If you're up for it, we could explore more about the cultural and historical significance of these sports, or perhaps delve into how they influenced modern athletics. What do you think?
I think that we can keep that in mind as we kind of end this podcast slowly here. First of all, I want to shout out to my home country Finland, hopefully, and find if there are any modern equivalent athletes that have been successful in any of these events, ancient events that are still modern day Olympic events. I know that we have some runners in Finland that are, especially long distance runners, that have been successful in the Olympics. But on the of the top of my head, I can't come up with um, other individuals now. So could you, Sky, help me in kind of this Suomi mainittu that is translated to Finland mentioned part of our episode? And for those who watched the entire retreat uh, channel, you know that this is kind of a light-hearted statement here in Finland, where we kind of
Got it.
joke about.
Highlighting modern Finnish athletes in ancient Olympic sports sounds like a great addition.
Yeah, I'm
It's a
gonna
good way to
continue
connect
soon.
ancient history with contemporary achievements. How else would you like to wrap up today's episode?
No, Sky is not listening to me. Yeah, so Suomi mainittu or Finland mentioned is kind of a light-hearted statement here in my home country, where we kind of joke about that we are seldom mentioned in the worldwide news or culture news. So I think the heritage come somewhat from ice hockey, but I'm not sure. I'm not completely sure. But yeah, so Sky, wrapping soon up this episode, could you mention any prominent athletes from Finland that have been successful in the Olympics regarding sport events that still are around in the modern days but have an or a heritage from the ancient Greek times?
Got it. Mentioning Finnish athletes who have excelled in modern Olympic sports with roots in ancient Greek traditions sounds like a fantastic way to round out the episode. Let's highlight those connections and celebrate their achievements.
Yeah, so could you help me? I know that we have Finnish long distance runners, but who else can you dig up from the deep webs of the internets? Could you help me out here, Sky? Because I can't come up with names. I have names like Paavo Nurmi in my head and such, but what else?
Absolutely. Alongside Paavo Nurmi, Finland boasts several other notable athletes who have made their mark in modern Olympic sports. Some names to consider include 1. Lasse Viren, legendary
Viren, yeah.
long-distance runner known for his double gold medals in the 5,000 meters and 10,000 meters at both the 1972 and 1976 Olympics. 2. Jani Ahonen, renowned ski jumper with multiple Olympic medals and world championship titles. 3. Matti Näikinen, a ski jumping legend who dominated the sport in the 1980s, winning multiple Olympic gold medals. 4. Tero Pitkämäki, successful javelin thrower,
Javelin, yeah.
known for his achievements in various international competitions, including the Olympics. These athletes have contributed significantly to Finland's sporting legacy, highlighting the country's prowess in events that trace their origins back to ancient Greek athletic traditions.
All right. Yeah. Do you think that ski jumping is an ancient, or was, or is kind of connected to ancient Olympic sports? I doubt that because
Ski jumping, while a popular modern sport, is not directly rooted in ancient Greek
Yeah.
athletic traditions. It emerged much later in history, particularly in Nordic countries like Finland, where it became a prominent winter sport. Its origins are tied more to practical transportation needs in snowy regions, rather than ancient Olympic events like those in ancient Greece.
Yeah. I kind of asked for. I'm not taking anything away from Olympic athletes here, but I kind of asked for those events that relate or connect to the ancient Olympic events. And javelin throw is one of them. So Tero Pitkämäki is a legitimate answer for or in this case. But yeah, shout out for Finland, so to say. We are not the most successful country in Olympics, but always striving for success as any other country. So now kind of ending the episode on promoting tourism to this location. Could you, Sky, help me with, or you are the one who are generating this practical kind of tourist guide to the location? We are assuming that people find their way to the near area of Olympia here in Greece, but what then? What can they find here? What or how can they find these different locations? What let's say companies and companies within the field of tourism should they take into consideration? What kind of gear should they use? How's the transportation, and so on. I see here that it's quite hilly, so assuming that you are walking, it's a moderate physical strain at least. But then again, if there are more modern ways of moving and enjoying this scenery and the different archaeological site and historical locations here, could you, Sky, help me with a practical guide that aids those who are listening if they choose to travel here?
Absolutely. When exploring Olympia and its surroundings, there's much to consider for a memorable trip. Here's a practical guide. 1. Getting there. Start with Athens as your base. From there, you can take a train or drive to Olympia. It's about a 4-hour drive, or you can take a train to Pyrgos and then a short bus ride to Olympia. 2. Accommodation. Olympia offers various options from cozy guest houses to hotels. Consider staying close to the archaeological site for easy access. 3. Exploring the site. Wear comfortable walking shoes as you'll be exploring
This
hilly terrain.
field here
Bring
is the
water and sun
archaeological site.
protection as it can get hot. Tour guides are available on site to provide detailed historical context. 4. Tourism companies. Look for local tour operators or guides who offer comprehensive tours of Olympia and nearby attractions. They can enhance your experience with insights into the area's history and culture. 5. Transportation. For exploring nearby sites like Mount Kronos or ancient Elis, renting a car is convenient. Alternatively, taxis and local buses can also be used.
Oh no.
6. Gear and attire. Depending on the season, pack light layers, comfortable clothing for walking, and sturdy shoes. If you're visiting in summer, a hat and sunscreen are essential. 7. Activities. Apart from the archaeological site, enjoy hiking in the nearby hills or visiting local museums like the Museum of the History of the Olympic Games in Antiquity. Remember, Olympia offers a rich blend of history, nature, and culture. Enjoy your journey.
All right, thank you. So that was about it. Could you summarize what we learned today, Sky? what events we went through. A short summary, please. And hopefully you enjoyed the episode. Could you also add where the audience can find us and what we wish from possible remote guests on the show? Let's see if you get it right this time.
Today, we delved into a fascinating journey through ancient Greek Olympic sports originating from Olympia. We explored events like chariot racing, discus throw, and javelin throw, along with their historical context and modern parallels. We also covered notable athletes like Leonidas of Rhodes and the legendary Pancratiast, Erecheion. If you enjoyed the episode, find more content like on our podcast, Inspired Retreat, available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Podchaser. We invite remote guests who share our passion for exploration and history to join us. Connect with us via our Discord server and subscribe to our YouTube channel for updates. Thank you for exploring Olympia with us today. Safe travels, and remember to keep exploring the world's wonders.
Yeah, so well said, Sky. Thank you for your attention, let's say. And again, yeah, those who wish to be a remote guest on the show, provide us screenshots, preferably with the same username, to Entired Retreat. That is entiredretreat@gmail.com. And yeah, the screenshot evidence, so to say, tell us that you have taken the small extra step and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and then joined our Discord server. And this grants you the possibility to be a remote guest on our show. I'm gonna send you a guest guide as an answer to your screenshot, so to say, evidence. And yeah, so with the guest guide, you should be able to understand the whole concept and how we move forward. If you want to be a remote guest on the show, and you, in this case, are the one who can choose what location and what topics we can discuss, you, me, and AI Sky together. So yeah, feel free to write us at, as I said, entiredretreat@gmail.com. But this is wrapped up now. This was the general area of Olympia in Greece and kind of the origins of the Olympic Games. So my name is Ode, and see you in the next one.